They shot down an Apache helicopter today. Thankfully, the two people that were in the helicopter survived and were rescued by a drone. But this was recently reported by ABC News. They said, and I'll put what I found, Armin. Um, they said that ABC News is saying that the Islamic regime shot down the helicopter with a drone. So this is interesting right here, but I know probably you wanted to talk about this first, Armin, since President Trump has said that he wants to respond to this. He said there will be a response, but I'm wondering how big the response will be because they survived. Usually, or if there had been deaths, maybe there would be a bigger response. So I don't know, but regardless, we're great. I'm great. At least I'm speaking for everyone. I'm grateful that the pilot and the other person there survived downing.
Yeah, actually, I'm so glad that you brought this up, and yeah, thank you for saying that. I think you are that's true that you are reflecting what most of us are thinking here. Um, a lot of people are now expecting the United States to respond and respond strong, and I don't know if there's not a strong response. It's going to be very difficult to continue with the narrative that of President Trump is going to push back hard against the Islamic Republic, and him and Bibi are completely aligned, and that this is all just mind games and good cop bad cop, because this was a direct attack on Americans with the goal of killing these two American soldiers. So they expect like, I don't know what you guys think. Two questions. Do you think there's going to be a very strong response? And what is it that we need to say if there is not? I mean, maybe we should just wait until we see what happens and not talk about that until it happens. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. Just really want to see what you guys are saying. Okay, Texas Troop in the chat is saying CNN has a third source saying it was a Shahed drone. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a Shahed drone. Um, okay. So thank you, Texas Troop. But can people put twos in the chat and let me know what you think about the American response to this, what it's going to be, and why? And Sketch, I would like to hear your views on this as well before, because you're modding, you could go ahead before.
All right, my view on this on the response. I don't know. I don't know if we're holding back for a funeral. People will say, hey, Trump wouldn't bomb a funeral. Obama bombed the wedding. I don't know if we do that. I don't know. I mean, they might expect we wouldn't do that, but that would be the best time to do it then. I mean, I'm just saying that might be what's holding us back. As far as a reply to this, yes, we would respond. I don't know if it would be a full response, especially if we have other plans that we're waiting on. I, I, my personal stance on this, I support Trump. I'm not like a Trump worshiper. Like I would like this to go faster, and this is just more reason for it to go faster. But tactically, I why did a helicopter get hit by a Shahed? Why are we? Why are Shahed still flying during a ceasefire? Why are you accepting this as a so-called ceasefire? Do they not have control of these people? Like, how can you say it's still a ceasefire while these people are firing? Either you're just letting them walk all over you during the ceasefire, or they're telling you, hey, I don't control those guys. This is the mosaic. And they all claim to be IRGC. They all claim to be for the IRGC, but some of them are actually aligning more with the clerics. And we have this problem that we're not showing anyone, but it's really there. I don't know enough about Iran internal politics to know if that's a possibility. Personally, I want the strikes to go yesterday. If I'm going to be the kindest, I would say maybe they're waiting on some intel to hit. That's like my two corners. I'm like, I want it to be done yesterday. Best case scenarios, they're waiting for something very specific. I don't believe a deal is going to happen. Also, if anybody's wondering, how do you eject from a helicopter? Well, you eject the rotor blades first. You have the rotor blades automatically disassemble first. They kind of like rocket out, and then the seats go out. So that's how they survive. I would love to hear from Jeff next because he probably has some insight that we can all learn from. So I want you to go ahead here, please. And I hate to volunteer you, but yeah, if you can, please.
Thanks. I'll do my best, brother. So yeah, Sketch is right about how eject safely from helicopters. They'll they'll blow their blades off, and then you'll be ejected out of the aircraft if they has an ejection seat. Some Apaches do, last I checked. So yeah, what happened? You had a Apache was down on June the 8th, so that's yesterday. They were rescued at 7:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time yesterday. They're in the water for roughly 2 hours. It was off the coast of Oman near the Strait of Hormuz. It was conducting routine maritime patrol. Why is that important? It means that the Mullah regime remnants fired upon our aircraft even when it was not engaged in offensive operations, and it was near Oman, not the Mullah occupied Iran. That means this is like a willing thing on their part. I would contend it underwrites that. It's the first loss of an Apache ever. So President Trump's statement is, I have just been informed about our great military that last night the Iranians, he should say the Mullah regime, not that I'm telling you what he said, just, I make it a point to add Mullah regime out of respect for Iranians who are not represented by the regime that occupies Iran. Was shot down one of our highly sophisticated Apache helicopters while patrolling the Strait of Hormuz. There are 2 pilots involved. Both are safe, uninjured. Nevertheless, the United States must, of necessity, respond to this attack. So where is it that we're at right now? First, we used a sea drone. I mean, that's kind of sexy. I know, if you want to go down and give you a rundown of what we used. Where things are right now, here's what open intelligence shows. That we have heightened KC-135s in the area. And what that tells me is you put those up when you're getting, so there are reports of increased U.S. Air Force tanker activities, KC-135s, and similar over the Middle East and Persian Gulf today. And that's consistent with heightened alert and posturing, albeit it's also what you would need to sit there and carry out mass strikes or responses, right? Because you want to be able to fuel all your strike aircraft and everything else. I'm betting that there's going to be a response. They're probably picking out where there's a lot of different people, generals, General Kane, a couple others on Fox News today, a couple others in like the Institute for Study of War, all these other people that are pushing for a very aggressive response that targets the IRGC leadership and kills them fucking dead. I'm one of those people pushing for a maximal response so that they're all gone. That's the best I can offer right now.
All right. Thank you very much. Next to respond on this topic, Shauna.
Real quick, so I'm supportive of whatever the military and the president decide to do. I will say that what this looks like to me as somebody who's not an expert is I feel like we're being baited into something, which actually indicates to me that our draining efforts are actually working. So, like, they cutting them off because it seems like they want to bait us. Psychologically, I think what they're trying to do is bait us in so that we drain some of our resources as well. I don't know if that'll work on their part. I could be wrong, but that was my first thought, and something I just kind of wanted to put out there is I do wonder if this is like a bait tactic. So
Very possible. With this, we move on to host.
Jose? Oh, he's not behind his computer.
All right. We're going to put him in next after Noah.
Yeah, very quickly, I just wanted to say I think President Trump has to respond hard to this. I mean, they were trying to kill our boys, they were trying to kill our pilots. So if we don't respond hard, they want to break the ceasefire, they want war again. I think we all know that at this point. So we need to respond hard to this. It'd be weakness if we didn't. That's just my 2 cents.
Optics. I understand that. All right. And Guy, we would like to hear what you have to say about all this, Guy. You're a smart guy. Go ahead, Guy.
So, for the record, I was volunteered for this. I'm going against my own will.
You're being a pro.
That said, I do have something to say. So, Armin, I disagree that a small attack now would make it hard to interpret it as Trump still is wanting to go hard on them eventually. It's just that you don't want them to set the schedule. I would expect, if there are strikes that are going to happen some point in the near future. Now, if it's in the far future, then you do need to strike, at least make like a medium strike or something along those lines. But if it's in the near future, let's say after FIFA, then you can do a small strike now, for example, much like Israel did, strike at their defenses and their like radars, anti-air, and so on, in preparation for that strike. So I just happen to have it in front of me on screen. So the chief of staff in the IDF said that the strike that we conducted on Iran was in preparation for a much heavier and more meaningful blow. And so I would imagine that if that is in the cards for the US, the retaliation now would be something similar. So something that would be against the defensive capabilities, and it might appear weak, but that is because it's in preparation for the actual real strike that'll happen in, let's say, a week's time.
So
Again, if it's longer, if he's going all the way until after the midterms, then I would expect at least like a medium strike, something that they wouldn't break the rules over, but that would send a message.
so
If it's closer,
that doesn't
yeah.
actually negate. You say you disagree, but that doesn't negate what I'm saying. Okay, let me explain, because I understand why, for example, the argument that President Trump has his own timetable and it's not going to let the Islamic Republic dictate when we're going to go to full head-to-head confrontational war, back to that. And maybe because President Trump has his own timetable, this will be a response that would just be a response, and that will happen exactly when President Trump wants it to happen. I understand that, but that doesn't negate the point that this is going to be hard to sell. The idea, like when it comes to talking to people and trying to defend President Trump, if the response is not strong, it would be a hard selling point. By that point, people are going to be like, fuck it, what the hell, not even after this, you're not responding very hard. So from a narrative perspective, you might have that interpretation, but convincing people of that interpretation after this happened will become difficult. Do you agree?
Optically, yes.
Yes.
All right. Last to respond on this would be Jeff. I would add that if after this you just wait and then bomb a wedding, it'll be like, wow, that was pretty hard.
Yep. For
Not funeral. My bad. Not wedding, funeral. Obama does the weddings. We can do the funerals.
Okay, so for people who are new here and might not understand the sarcastic tone of Sketch, Sketch is not in favor of bombing funerals or weddings. He's basically attacking Obama and what he did when he was president. Okay, so we're not here, none of us here are for bombing weddings or funerals, right? Right, Sketch? Say right.
I will neither confirm or deny.
You're making this very difficult. We're streaming on YouTube, right?
YouTube, we would send flowers. Very, very nice and heavy flowers.
Why are you doing this to me?
No. I mean, I get what you mean. You're absolutely right. Obama was a very bad person. You shouldn't strike weddings. It's a very bad thing to do.
And funerals, Sketch, and funerals.
And Sketch is just saying we're going to send him a dozen black roses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those who are Italian know what I mean. So
just to,
yeah, I
just
mean,
to be clear,
guys,
just to be clear with the funeral, we are in support of Americans and Israelis finding specific targets within the funerals of people affiliated with Islamic Republic and taking them out. Okay, so obviously we're
I
not.
believe this was done before.
Yes, exactly. That's what we're in favor of, but we're
the
not in
beeper.
favor of like just bombing an entire funeral. Obviously, we're not in favor of that. Sorry,
Oh
Jeffrey.
no.
I was, yeah.
No worries. So Guy is yeah, I see where Guy was going with that. Would do shaping operations. That's what the Israelis are doing, centering on seed and other things, so that they can then have a free range to do other things later on. And that's what would the likely targets possibly be in our if for the immediate response. I'll give you a priority 4 of them: priority, target type, likelihood. So there's a high degree, I can say with a high degree of human certainty, there's a high degree of probability the target types in part might be IRGC, Navy fast attack crafts, and bases. Specific examples would be bases near Bandar Abbas, Abu Musa. I'm just using that as an example, not naming a specific target. Why this target? Because these are the main targets to shipping and U.S. patrols. The likelihood of the first response is probably pretty high. It's very high. I can say with a high degree of certainty that another target list would be drone launch and storage sites, coastal facilities in southern Iran, particularly near Hormuz. That wouldn't surprise me. Likely, and the reason being is that was likely the method used to down the Apache. Likelihood in the first response is very high. So, medium to high priority, I could say, would probably be coastal radar and surveillance sites because they could have tracked and supported the attack. Likelihood in the first response is high. Medium priority would be IRGC command nodes. This is if the, like a limited response in preparation for a bigger campaign. It would be local IRGC naval or drone command posts in the Hormuz area, probably leadership tied to the operations in the Strait. The likelihood of that is probably medium to high. So those are kind of like just to flesh out what Guy said. I kind of see where you're going. Hopefully that kind of like puts a little more like garnish on that plate. That's kind of what I would see. Like I could see that happening. We have KC-135 surging in the area, which means what it means.
My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.